everyone, it's Tanny Games here. Welcome back to the channel. We are back in Disney Dreamlight Valley for our Discord Dreamsnap review video, and this time is for the Cabinet of Curiosities. Now, we've already recorded part 1 that's up on the channel, so make sure you also check that out if you haven't seen it, because there are a lot of amazing submissions in that half. But we are going to get on to the second half and look at the rest of the submissions in Discord to see the creative ways you have all come up with a Cabinet of Curiosities. And first up, we have a submission from Mr. Left Shark here. I saw your comment about how the first thing that came to your mind was about a heist, and I think that's really fun and creative. I wish I'd thought of something like that. It's so fun and so playful. I love that idea. I love how your characters look. Definitely looks like a thief kind of vibe. Love how this setup is done outside of the Cave of Wonders, and you've also included Jafar here as well. I think that's so fun. We do have a nice mix of items, from jewels and treasures to, you know, Iago statues to guitars and things like that. Such a wealth of different ideas and items and things like that. I think it's really fun to see. And then you've got your van here as the getaway car, so that you can get out of there with all your belongings and jewels and riches. This one here as well, there's also a second one, but yeah, very fun. Looks like a very successful heist. And next up, we have a submission from Jay, who's done this like Bad Girls Cabinet of Curiosities. I think it's very fun. You know, your character here dressed up as the evil queen. We also have Vanessa or Ursula here. I love how you've done the floating orb above this Ursula's like cauldron spell thing. That is so clever. I did not know you could put the floating bubbles above it, and that is genius. Honestly, such a great and creative idea. I'm gonna have to play around with that, because that could come for like create loads of cool and fun snaps and things like that. Like, if I'd have seen this before I'd done my Ursula one, I might have stolen that and used it on my Ursula one to create a bit more of an interesting submission, because that's a really fun and creative idea, and I wonder what kind of possibilities are available with that. You also have the apple here, which is very fitting since you're dressed as the evil queen, as well as the mirror behind your character. We then also have a mix of different items, you know, books and the Madame Leota table, the Iago statue. You know, we have Eric here, again, perfect addition, like he's been caught and captured or something, turned into stone. Perhaps you've trapped Merlin into a stone miniature form. Same with Anna. Like, just like the potentials of like what these items could represent is like very fun. And then we have a submission from Reese Rose here, who's done this really fun and creative split submission. I absolutely love this. I think it's so fun and creative. On the left side, we've got Ariel and her grotto. You know, we have the Eric statue and things like that. Wonderful to see. And then on the right side, we've got kind of like Ursula's lair, which is really fun and creative. You know, we've got her throne, all the potion bottles and things like that. So absolutely wonderful and creative. A really unique split shot, and I really like this idea. And next up, we have a submission from Doodles here, who's gone with a very sorcerer, magical inspired vibe. I love the witch's house in the background, looks absolutely stunning. You know, we've got Merlin here, who, you know, looks like he's pondering over things, perhaps the next spell that he's gonna work on. The little frog is very cute. All the kind of like monstrous plushies work really nicely in this setting. You know, all the kind of like cases with the books on them, the spell and potion bottles and things like that. Like, it's a really lovely mix, and I love the kind of hazy green lighting that you've got going on behind the witch's house as well. Very fun, very beautiful submission. And next up, we have a submission from Lainey Faye here. And this is wonderfully fun. This is again kind of that sorcery magicians kind of vibe, which I like to see. You know, you've also got Merlin here kind of pondering. You know, we have the cauldron, we've got the like alchemy table here. The way you've got the bubble here, and like there's like sparkles in it as well. Oh, that's so fantastic. Love the little Mickey cloud as well. That's a really nice addition. You know, we've got a lot of hazy glow. We've got so much sparkle. You know, this just feels like such a magical kind of place, and I really like the eclectic mix of items. You know, we've got display pillars with belongings on and things like that. So a very, very fun submission. And next up we have a submission from Nina here, who has this kind of almost like mystical library study of belongings. You know, we've got all the bookcases surrounding with all the, you know, books and items on them. We've also got the big potion display item in the background there as well. I really love how you've got this Eric statue here and there's like a light shining on him. It's almost like a spotlight, and that does really make me think of like when you see museum collections and sometimes they have like a spotlight on them, or there'll be artwork that have like a spotlight above them just to really bring attention to the artwork. So I think that's really fun. We've definitely got an eclectic mix of belongings. You know, we've got the cups, the potion bottles, the plants and things like that. Love the outfit choice. I really like this snap. It definitely feels like a curious place to be. And next up we have a submission from Madame Bernay here. And where is the hidden Mickey? Madame Bernay always does a hidden Mickey and I don't see one. I don't see one. Oh my gosh. Okay, you did say you changed the wannabe Mickey head. So there is a Mickey head in here. Where though? Oh, wait, I think I spotted it. I think I spotted it. Is it meant to be the gold tables here? This would be the face, this would be the ear, and this would be the ear. This is the treat. This has to be the Mickey. Okay, I think this is it. I think it's the gold tables. Please let me know. I really enjoy the game of Spot the Mickey. So thank you for this. I was having a look and initially I was looking at like the paintings and stuff because like you've got like these two here and then one below it, but I was like nah. And then like the trio of these and I was like no, not these. So I was like really trying to look. I didn't think about the tables and the way they were positioned. But yeah, I think it's those. I think it's those. I really like this. Very interesting. Feels very magical and mystical. The way you've got these kind of like smashed effects on the wall, and this is from one of the stained glass windows. I don't remember which one, but one of them leaves this kind of effect when you've got the camera viewed behind it, and of course the magic mirror as well. I think this is a very fun and creative snap. I love how you've added some mannequins in, like they're here and checking out all these belongings and items and things like that. I think it's very fun. And next up we have a submission from Aneda here. This is really fun and creative. I like how you've used these giant pillars. I completely forgot about those. They're such a cool item actually. But that's really cool to see. It's almost like this is the top of a castle, the top of a tower, or something like that. And it's an area where this witch does her spells, her magic and things like that. Like we've got the desk, we've got the Madame Leota table, we have the alchemy table, you know, we've got these shoots of green lights in the background, which is very fun to see. The orbs with the candles and such like that. Very, very fun and creative submission. I really like this. Love how your character looks. I think it's a fun snap. And next up we have a submission from Cradle here, and I think this is really fun and creative. I really, really like this. I love how you've got kind of like the bookcases here. You know, we've got the Madame Leota table. We've got like the desk with loads of trinkets, you know, scrolls and things like that. Is that like the jasmine tea or something behind there? That looks really cool. Like just using these mix of items is very, very fun. And I love how your character looks. She's definitely giving me kind of librarian type vibes. That's kind of the aesthetic that I'm getting. But I think it works really well with this kind of almost like collectory kind of Dreamsnap challenge. And then we have a submission from Dan here, who's done this kind of, I want to say like a museum gallery type submission. I love how you've added Goofy into the snap and you're both wearing a suit. It's so cute. I love Goofy. Love to see Goofy snaps. It always makes me happy. But I love how you've used these. What are these items called? I forget what they're called, but I believe you get it as part of Jafar's friendship line. But that's really cool. We've got the display cabinets here. The way you've used a lot of time bending pieces on those is very fun. Yeah, definitely a wide mix of items and belongings. You know, the Iago statue, the coconut LeFou, even using the like clay pottery setup here and things like that. Very, very fun to see this nice collection of different items. And next up, we have some submissions from Nolan. We have the first account here, which is a pirate themed submission, which makes sense for like a cabinet of curiosities, perhaps a cabinet of treasures. You could describe it as, but I really like this. I love how you've included Donald and Daisy. These chests are great, you know, the pirate kind of treasure piles. It definitely looks like you've been out looting on the seas, and this is the mix of items that you've managed to come across and to build up and collect through your days of traveling and exploring. I really like how you've used this item here. It's almost like a dividery kind of item in a sense. It's part of the Lion King collection. I forget what it's called, but it almost looks like bars on the window, or perhaps bars on a jail cell or something. I don't know, but it's very, very cool. It adds a nice, interesting backdrop and effect. And next up, we have this submission, which is a very kind of like Jack's Laboratory kind of inspired snap. Like your character looks a bit like Sally. We have Jack here. I love how you've used these items again. I forget what it's called, but again, it's part of that Isma Emperor's New Groove kind of collection. But yeah, it's very, very cool to see. Love how we've got the kind of like the monstrous plushies, the coconut LeFou. Using these tables, like they're from you can craft them in like the time bending kind of section and stuff like that. But yeah, this is very, very cool. It's nice to see this unique collection of items. Definitely a cabinet of curiosities. And then we have your third account, which is a very Little Mermaid inspired snap, which I love to see. I love the lighting in this, the kind of hazy blue glow that it has. I love that you've dressed up your character as Ursula, then you've got Ariel and Eric on either side. And I like that there's kind of this balancing mix of items. You know, we have the darker aesthetic of some of the Ursula items, but then we have the bright pastel-y like pinks and blues from like the more Ariel inspired items, I guess you could say. But yeah, this is a really fun mix of items and a really nice setup. And then we have my main account snap. Now this originally didn't turn out how I wanted it to. I originally wanted my camera to sit about here, where I wanted to be kind of like half into the potion cauldron kind of setup. That's kind of what I wanted. I didn't necessarily want this kind of massive lighting. I didn't want the red lighting. I definitely didn't want to see the tops of the castles either. I wanted it to feel like we were in Ursula's kind of home under the sea. So that's why I originally went with like the castle backdrop, because I wanted to have like a bit of a maybe like a stone-esque kind of corally kind of backdrop. So I thought that was probably going to be the closest, and then I thought if I added some lighting to it, it wouldn't quite feel like a castle. But I just couldn't get the angles right. I couldn't get the camera to cooperate. So this is what I ultimately ended up with, even if it wasn't exactly the kind of shot I wanted. You know, I like having the throne there. I like having the bookcases and the cabinets with like the potions in them, you know, the little displays with Ursula and Flotsam and Jetsam. Is Flotsam and Jetsam, I think. Um, but yeah, that's kind of what I wanted. I'm worried it's a bit too basic, that there's not enough items on display. So I'm worried that people might not vote for it because it's not a kind of variety and mix of items. You know, we've only got a few pieces here, but we'll just have to see. I kind of wanted to do the opposite to the Ariel's grotto. Um, you know, we did Ariel's grotto. I wanted to do Ursula's kind of grotto instead. Does that make sense? So it didn't quite turn out how I pictured it and envisioned it, but I think it's still an alright set. I still like it. I am hoping for 4K because I do want some sort of art redemption. If that makes sense, of art gallery redemption. But we'll just have to see how it goes. We'll have to see. I'm not sure if it will or won't. And then we have a snap from Marina here. And this is lovely. I really, really like this. We've definitely got a wild mix of items. Like even using some of the gems is very, very clever. I like that you thought to do that. The armor, like the mannequins with the armor on it, brilliant idea, you know, because obviously it does look like those suits farmers that you get on display. I like the kind of references to some of the movies and the films. You know, we've got the Sorcerer's Mickey here and the broom together. We've got the mirror on the wall with the apple in front of it. You know, we've got the Little Mermaid and Ursula inspired stuff. We've got the what do you call it, spinning wheel here, which is definitely giving Maleficent vibes. And you know, like I'm just kind of getting the aesthetics of lots of different princesses and things like that. But very, very fun to see, very creative submission. And next up, we have a submission from Jessica here, who's done this Jasmine and Jafar inspired snap. I really like this. I think it's very fun and playful. I think it's a great snap to do since we have just had the Aladdin and Jasmine update. So I think it's really fun that you've done this kind of snap. I think a lot of people are going to see it and really enjoy it, especially with the update. You know, we've got a lot of mix of items here. We've got the alchemy table. We've got the piles of gold. The sort of the, what do you call this sand timer thing, which obviously very reminiscent of in the movie when, you know, Jafar traps her in that. We've got the golden Iago. We've got Jafar here. It definitely almost feels like Jafar's Cabinet of Curiosities fantasy kind of vibe, if that makes sense. But yeah, I think this is a fun take on the challenge. Next up, we have a submission from Hoovian PNW. And this is really fun. It's a Alice in Wonderland kind of, in at least that's the vibes I'm getting, is Alice in Wonderland. I think you did say, yeah, Wonderland edition. Yeah, you did. So yeah, it is definitely Wonderland inspired. I definitely got that from obviously the rabbit looking appearance, the obviously the Cheshire cat in the background, you know, all the different Alice in Wonderland items that you've got on display here. Definitely feels very curious. I definitely get those Wonderland kind of vibes and aesthetics, which is quite fun. It's definitely playful and very curious indeed. And next up, we have a submission from Forafora here, and this is absolutely fantastic. I am obsessed with this. The way you've lent into this kind of time theme. I really like this. It's just so unique. It is so, so, so unique. I love the display of all the different clocks, the different kind of almost like heights and elevation that we have in this snap. The fact that you've gone with the kind of time bending thing, which obviously has the hourglass in it. Oh, it's just so creative. It's such a creative take on the challenge. I love it. I really do. I think this is so fun. It's such a cool concept. I really like it. I really like the concept behind it. I think you've executed it brilliantly. You know, fantastic lighting and framing and setup. The way you've caught the kind of like the dring dring here yeah, just fantastic overall. And next up, we have a submission from Dutch Girl here, who's done a botanical garden kind of curiosity setup. I love how you've lent into kind of like a magical, mystical vibe, you know, using some of the bioluminescent plants and the mushrooms, you know, having the orbs here is fantastic. I also like how you've got 3 statues here, and the way the light looks behind these statues I think is really, really fun. I really like this backdrop and setup. I think this would make a very aesthetic valley build, which is very, very cool to see. I really like this. I think it's quite inspiring in terms of decor. It definitely makes me excited to do something with the castle walls, because I haven't done anything with them yet. At some point I actually need to do a build with them. I do intend to do a build with them, but it's just when I actually do it. But this is fantastic. And next up, we have a submission from Talon here. And this is really fun and playful. It is very much like kind of like a craft room or a hobby room. You know, we've got the painting setup here. We've got the sewing setup. I love that you've got Mirabelle here with this sewing setup. I think it's really fun. I love that you've got the giant pencil and you stood at the easel. Again, it's kind of like very dynamic and fun. I really like the playful backdrop of the wall setup. You've got so many items here that are on display, which is really, really fun to see as well. It does look like a curious mix of items and collections and pieces that you've picked up from all around. And like even using the chest, like why didn't I think of that? Like the chests kind of work well with this theme. Like I've seen people using that Little Princess and the Frog chest that you can get from like the tapestries, but never would I have thought of this. And it's really fun and really clever. So yeah, I definitely really like this idea. I think it's very unique and very clever. And next up, we have a submission from Film Brat. I did see the comment previously from the last video, part 1, that actually had Winter Dragonfly submission, and Winter Dragonfly mentioned that you both have similar gem rooms, so that's why there might be similarities. But I love this, again, this whole setup, this very grand royal kind of setup in a sense, you know, all those lush gold tones and the gems and things like that. I think is very, very fun. It definitely looks like you've collected a lot of treasures and things like that over time, you know, using the piles of gold and things like putting these 3 guitars together. That is so cool. Like they're all grouped together. I love that. I think that's very fun and playful, and all the artwork on the wall as well is brilliant. So yeah, I think you've done a fantastic job with this Dreamsnap. And next up, we have a submission from Febrian here, and I am obsessed. Obsessed. Another Wally themed snap. I really, really like this. I know Luca and Pupster did a Wally themed snap for their challenge. I'm just obsessed with it. I think Wally works so well for this challenge, and I like it. I like that this feels like the beginning of the movie, you know, when Wally's on Earth and it's kind of filled up with trash, and he collects the trash and compacts it, and you know is working on restoring the earth and things like that. And it's just like he's off on his day to go do his usual routine, and I just think this is so fun. It's so clever and creative. The buildings that you've chose to use, I don't even know what building this is. I don't even know, but you've got like the Tower of Terrors here in the backdrop. Wait, is this the Tower of Terror? Is this another one? Have you got 3 of them? I just noticed here when I saw these shutters and realised it matched these. Oh, it is. It's the lower. I thought it was a shorter building because I could see the sky up here. I assumed that this was like a short building. That's what threw me off. But no, it's just the lower level of it. Oh, so smart. The like fencing, the hazy glow from these light bulbs, the Wally billboard, the, you know, the Wally's house, and oh, this is so beautiful. I'm obsessed with this. This is, in a weird way, this is what the Wally realm should have been. Wally Realm needs an upgrade and they need to take inspiration here because this is so, so cool. Next up, we have a submission from I Love Heechul here, and we definitely have an eclectic mix of items here. You know, we've got the easel in the corner with the bike and the tables, you know, the bags and things like that. Like so many different items here on display. I love the framing at the top of the photo with the lanterns. I think that looks really nice and fun. I love the whole purple aesthetic of this photo. You know, your character's dressed pretty much head to toe in purple, which is very, very fun and works really well with some of the pops of purple and pink that we have in the background, you know, with the tangled items, the monstrous wallpaper, the giant clam and things like that. Definitely got a lot of purpley pink tones throughout this image, which is really, really fun to see. Next up, we have a submission from Mike, and what the heck? What the heck? This is so cool. This is like seeing this backdrop here with the water reminds me of in Animal Crossing, when a lot of people in Animal Crossing used to do kind of like outdoor indoor builds, and they would create like fake balconies in the game and stuff like that in their rooms. They would create like these wall divides so it felt like the room was not just one room, if that makes sense. Like this feels like the curtains into the ocean. The way you've got the disco balls here hanging down, but obviously we don't see the disco balls, so we just see the really cool lighting effect. The way that lighting kind of goes towards the water there in the background is just absolutely fantastic and creative. I love how your character looks. I love all the little elements, you know, the bioluminescent moss, the few starfish dotted around on the floor, the alchemy table, the Madame Leota table, the little Iago here at the front. This is so wonderfully creative and so, so, so unique. And yeah, I'm obsessed with this. This is fantastic. It's so unique and cool. I really love it. It's giving me like, what is it, 50,000 leagues under the sea or whatever it is, like you know, they're kind of the, I just think it's fantastic. It's a really, really creative take on the challenge. And next up we have a submission from Victoria here. This is really fun. What I really like, I don't know whether it was deliberate or just by chance, but the way you've got at the bottom of your submission the, what's this called, glimmer, the glimmer, and the way it kind of circles around your dress is really cool. I just really like that. There's something obviously very magical and mystical looking about your character. You know, I love that you've used the glowing companion and it creates this kind of glowing light in front of you. I think that's really fun. Like, I absolutely, when they first came out, those glowing companions, I think I wasn't too sure on whether I liked them or not, but I definitely think they're some really useful and versatile companions to have. You know, I like the glowing effects you can get from using those companions. I think they work really well in kind of like spooky builds as kind of like ghost like beings or like magical beings, or like I used them in my alien speed build kind of thing, like Alien Planet, because they gave me that kind of alien vibe, which I love. I love how you've used all the fairy bubbles around here so it feels like the cauldron is bubbling. Yeah, this is just fantastic and really fun and creative. Next up, we have a submission from Lightspark here, who has this kind of like very sorceress lair kind of inspired vibe. I love this setup with all the bookcases and things like that. The angle at which we're seeing this bookcase as well is really cool. Do you know what? It reminds me a bit of the one I've done, like the idea of kind of going towards this cabinet, this bookcase, and things like that, and obviously seeing this magical light glowing and emanating from your character, I think is really, really cool. Yeah, it's really fun. It's very creative. I love how your character looks as well. Sort of really fully committing to your submission and the scening. The scening? The scenery. Do you know what I mean? The theming. I think that's what I meant. The theming. Oh, one day I will learn to talk. And next up, we have a submission from Jules here. We can see this one taken on the Switch, and it definitely looks like we've got a wide range of items here. You know, lots of artwork on the wall. We've got the shelf item. I forget what it's called, but it's got like all the princess ice skates and things like that on them. So we definitely have a wide mix of items and belongings here. Next up, we have a submission from Silver Ears. I saw your comment about not understanding this theme. I honestly think the problem is that it's so open to interpretation. There's so many ways you could do this. Like, obviously for me, I got those kind of gallery vibes because I was thinking like a cabinet of curiosities. I was specifically thinking of, you know, cabinets and items and belongings and things like that, but I totally get that it's kind of very wide and open to interpretation. But I really like that you've gone with kind of like the curious side of the theme, and you've gone for this kind of Wonderland inspired backdrop. At least that's what I'm getting, is that it's quite Wonderland inspired, which obviously leans into the curious side of the challenge, which is quite fun. It's very, very playful. I like how you've used the figment topiary, the flowers and things like that you've used. The bubbles with like the little cups of tea in them is very, very fun. I love the giant teacup towards the front here. Yeah, this is a very beautiful and aesthetic photo. Next up, we have a submission from Chelsea here, who's gone with this snap, which is very aerial inspired. I love it. I love that you've lent into that kind of theming. I love how your character almost has a bit of a pirate-esque kind of vibe. I love how we have like a cheese grater just randomly floating in a bubble here. I think that's so fun. But we definitely have a mix of items, you know, and using these time bending pieces was brilliant. They work really well as elements of decor kind of thing. Using the chest here, the little yellow chest works really well. You know, the Eric statue, the kind of like shipwrecked ship here and things like that. This is really fun and really creative. Next up, we have a submission from Tiana here, who has this kind of very museum art gallery inspired snap. I think this is really fun. I love how your character looks. I love how we have all the artwork on the wall here, like even using the tapestry pieces here. You know, we've got so many like fairy bubbles and snippets as well. Very, very fun. A lovely mix of items on display. Definitely feels like a curious collection. I feel like I could look for a long time and spot something new the more I look at this image. And next up, we have a submission from Angel of Thursday here, who also has an aerial inspired snap. Love to see it. Love the team aerial snaps this week. I do really, really like this setup. I think again, I think I said in the first half, the first video, how a lot of the aerial snaps kind of reminded me of my own aerial snaps. So I really like to see them. But I also pointed out that a lot of the aerial snaps I was seeing, and this one included, have a lot more items. And I really wish I'd lent heavy into these individual items and pieces and could have displayed them. Like you having like the boats on display, like this ship in a bottle as well as this boat, having like little things like the cup and the snow globe and the tea set. Like I should have thought to have just gathered lots of items, especially because like Ariel's a collector of human items, so it doesn't have to look like it's an item from under the sea. It just has to look like a human item on display, because that's exactly what would appeal to Ariel. So I love that you've kind of gone all in and committed to this. I think it's really fun and creative. Really like the use of the bubbles as well. They work well in this scene. And I like how you framed the Eric statue as well, you know, doing the kind of like the coral pillars on either side. Very, very fun. Great submission. And last but most certainly not least, we have a submission from Chill Chaos here, who's gone with a Beauty and the Beast inspired snap. I love how you have the rows of bookcases, obviously perfectly on theme for a Beauty and the Beast inspired challenge. You know, we've got the rows there. We've also got the little dog thing. I forget what it's called, but yeah, that little dog thing that isn't a dog but is a footrest kind of thing. Love how we've got the little Cogsworth statue. You know, we've even got the Mrs. Potts kind of tea trolley set here. Very, very fun, very creative. Works really well for this challenge. So great job. And there you have it. That is it for this week for the Cabinet of Curiosities Discord Dreamsnap review video. Even the Forgotten has decided to turn up here to say goodbye at the end of this video, which I wasn't expecting at all. But yeah, thank you so much to everyone who has shared their snaps in the Discord. It's an absolute joy to go over your snaps each week and have a look at what the community's come up with for each challenge. I hope you all get 4K. I hope you all get the results you want. And yeah, best of luck to you. And I look forward to seeing next week's submissions for the parade challenge. I think that is going to be a lot of fun to go over as well. So yeah, thank you for your time today. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, don't forget to give it a like and subscribe to the channel for more Disney Dreamlight Valley content. And I will see you all in the next one. Bye guys!